Hey guys, good to see you again. Hope you're all doing well. Hope you're staying healthy, happy, and sane during these crazy times. Things are looking up. Don't know about where you are, but in the UK, man, the vaccination program's doing well. But yeah, I just thought I'd spend more of my time I've got indoors, not being able to go and do anything, to do another video about a quarter life crisis. What's a quarter life crisis? What was my quarter life crisis? Why are people having more and more quarter life crises? And just letting you know a little bit about mine. So I think most people have heard of the midlife crisis, and I've got to, these are all just my ideas, they're my opinions on why they happen. But typically they always happen around the age of, midlife, so maybe late 30s, early 40s. And I've got an opinion as to why they used to happen and why now they're starting to happen in our mid-20s more often. So for me, I think it's often once people's largest responsibilities have gone. So I know for my parents' generation, for a lot of my friends who are my age, their parents had the kids quite young, so maybe when they're in their early 20s. So they'd maybe not been working for a very long period of time, and they'd just come out of uni or whatever, and they have children. And so, children inevitably become the focus of most people's lives, and that's the correct thing. It takes a huge amount of energy and effort, I'm sure. Don't know it personally yet, to bring up a kid. And it's a really important thing to try and bring your kids up the right way. So inevitably they become the focus of so much in your life. And for some people, almost everything in your life is focused towards them and making them have a better life and making them be brought up in the right way. So what happens then is your kids grow up, they get to the age of 18, 19, whatever, they disappear off to uni. And yeah, they're still going to need some help. I know I wasn't an adult fully when I came out of uni, or went to uni, sorry. Either of them, I don't think I fully became an adult till a bit later than that. But they're not going to need your help all the time. They're not going to be dependent on you in the same way. And so suddenly this thing that's been the focus of all your energy and attention is gone. You don't need to be for them in the same way. And so suddenly people go, holy shit, what do I want to do? What do I actually like doing? What do I need to do for myself? Like, oh my God, everything's been focused on this other person, and they don't need me anymore in the same way. So, oh my God, you know what? I fancy buying a sports car. I fancy riding a motorbike. I fancy quitting my job and doing something crazy. And people often think it's this sign of being crazy, having this midlife crisis. But maybe it's actually just that finally people can do something for themselves. And that's just my opinion, like I said, as to why they happen. So why are they happening earlier? Well, people are having children later and later. A lot of people are having them in their early 30s now, say. So, compared to my parents' generation, and I will look at the statistics, it'd be interesting to see, but I'm pretty sure it's a general trend that people are having children later. So I can talk about my own experience for this one. So I did a degree in chemical engineering. So I went the kind of very traditional route. I went to school, went to the same school to do A-levels, went to university, went to a decent university, got a good degree, got the professional job, the well-paid professional job, which is always something I thought I wanted. I wanted that money and the opportunity the money would give me. So I got this professional job, and the problem was the reality of the job. So when I was in the UK with my job, I was completely office-based, and I'd spend 40 hours a week sat at a computer, tapping away, doing mathematical calculations, and the reality of the job for me was really, really dull, and I didn't enjoy it. I felt like a caged animal, felt like I was working in a school library, and I just didn't enjoy it. And I'm not criticising that type of workplace, because I have people who I was friends with at my engineering job who were very happy in that environment, but for me it was not the right place to be. So I kept on getting these little breaks where I'd go and work abroad, and they kind of kept me going, because when I was abroad I'd be based on a site, on a chemical plant. I enjoyed the work a lot more, I enjoyed the travelling and seeing different areas, but I kind of got to the point where I didn't want to be away anymore. I was kind of sick of missing out on things at home. I wanted to be at home. I wanted to have a home. And if I'd have carried on doing that work for the rest of my career, I'd have just been flitting all over the globe. So basically it got to the point where I was like, why am I doing this job? It's not making me happy. It's just making my bank balance tick up, which it's doing very nicely, but I don't need the money. I don't want the money to do the things I actually enjoy doing. I don't, it's not that important. I've realized it's not that important to me having the money. I'm not using it to support anyone. It's, the only person this job should be for is for me, because at the moment I don't have anyone who's dependent on me. My parents are fine financially. I don't have any children. I don't even have another half at the time who I needed to, look after in some respect. So, okay, not look after, they don't need looking after, but that I would want to earn the money to be able to do nice things with or for. So it basically was no good for anyone. So that happened, and I was completely freaking out about the direction my life was going. And then there was this other problem. I would look across the aisle, and I'd look across the aisle, and there'd be these guys sitting over there who'd been at the company for 30, 40 years. And these guys are earning a fortune compared to what a lot of people would consider they'd ever earn in their lifetime. It's a really well-paid engineering job in the oil and gas industry. And they hate it, or I don't know, maybe they don't. Maybe they just love to moan. Maybe they're those sorts of people. But they're sat over there, they're overweight, they're unhealthy, they're unhappy. And all they can do is moan about the job, moan about this, moan about that. This isn't good enough, that's not good enough. And they've been there for 30 years. Oh, and it used to drive me insane. But more than anything, it made me afraid, because I thought, oh my Lord, I cannot become him. I cannot become that person. This is ridiculous. So it also coincided with like my first adult breakup, which brought me even lower. So I was in a really low place. I felt like I absolutely hated my job. I loathed it. And more than anything, I was just afraid of like, why am I not going to go and try and do something completely different? I'm young enough. I don't have any person dependent on me that I need to keep a good, well-paid job for. So I absolutely freaked out. And luckily, one of my best friends in the world, wasn't necessarily before the walk, he was still a close friend, but now obviously he's one of my best friends. He freaked out at the same time too. So interesting. Also done engineering, also got the well-paid job. He was in procurement for National Grid, earning a huge amount of money. But he felt like at the age of 25, he was on the verge of a breakdown, and that's crazy to think. So I planned to do my quarter-life crisis on my own, and luckily I didn't have to do it on my own. So what did I do? Well, I'd kind of started getting into the mountains and rock climbing and the outdoors, and I'd really fallen in love with them. They're the thing that had substituted martial arts in my life that I'd been doing for a long period before that. And so I'd spend so many hours in my job, because I didn't like it, sitting and daydreaming of all the things I could be outside doing. And I just started to kind of think of all the different challenges I could possibly think of that I could do. And slowly a plan emerged in my mind. So I decided that I was going to walk the length of the UK. And not only was I going to walk the length of the UK, but I was going to try and take a load of the most mountainous regions of the UK in, because I love the mountains. That's where I wanted to be. So I started looking at long distance trails through the mountains, and I got a big map of the UK up, and I started drawing them. And then I started connecting the dots. And before you knew it, I'd had this idea for a continuous route all the way down the UK, trying to take in as many kind of hills and mountains as possible within reason. I'm not saying I did them all. That wasn't the point. It was meant to be a continuous route going through mostly mountain regions. So it is one of the best things I have ever done in my life. And as such, I'm planning on having a quarter-life crisis. So I was very lucky. In my head, I'd resolved that I needed to be completely determined to do this thing. So I was ready to quit my job, even though I had a house that I owned with my brother. So I needed to pay the mortgage in some way. My brother could cover it for a while. So I was willing to quit, and I was willing to go on my own. And thankfully, it coincided with a downturn in the oil and gas industry. So my company had very little work for people. So they were more than happy to let me not be paid for 5 months. And then my friend Owen, who I went to school with, decided to join me. And like I said, like I think we've all got it in a school friendship group often, if it's a large group, where we have the 1 or 2 people we're really close to in the group, and then the rest of them are all friends, they're close friends, but they're not your best friends. And Owen was never one of the people I was really close to. But, you know, just by luck or coincidence, we both were at that point in our life. So originally I thought he was only going to join me for a section of the walk, and man, he ended up joining me for the whole thing, and I literally couldn't have asked for a better person to do it with. We didn't have a single argument the entire time, which I don't understand how that happened. Just well suited to being adventure companions, I suppose. So we walked the length of the UK. It took us 3.5 months. We probably walked, I never worked it out exactly, but around 1,700 miles when I kind of roughly worked it out, because it definitely wasn't the direct route. And we went through some of the most beautiful parts of the Northwest Highlands. We went through parts of the Lake District. We went through parts of the Peak District. We went all the way through Snowdonia. We went all the way down and across the Brecon Beacons. We went through some like hills, so like the Quantocks, and some other little hills down in the southwest. And then we finished off on the Southwest Coast Path. And like I said, it is one of the best experiences of my entire life. I felt so content and so peaceful. And you know, it's not real life. I knew it couldn't go on forever. But it was an absolutely wonderful experience. And it led to me changing my life. So I went back to my engineering job, and the first day I completely had a meltdown, and I walked up to an outdoor store in my lunch break and asked if they had any jobs going. But luckily I calmed down a bit, and just before I left for the walk, I'd kind of made this decision that I was probably going to try and change my life. So I'd signed up to, I believe it was before I went on the walk, but I couldn't be certain of it. Maybe it was just after I got back, I signed up at an outdoor company in the Peak District to do an instructor training scheme. And yeah, massive shout out to Pure Outdoor. The guys there got me through my qualification for my climbing so quickly and so well. Massive shout out to Neil, who doesn't work Pure Outdoors often anymore because he's off loving life in the Alps. But he does occasionally pop back in. But he was kind of my professional belayer and climbing coach for a long period of time, and he really helped me hugely. But Gav as well helped me out loads, and Stephen, one of my close friends, who helped me loads with my navigation. So yeah, so basically I decided I was going to change my life, and so I signed up to this program to become an outdoor instructor. And I was really fortunate again, you know, really lucky that partway through that course I got given the opportunity to take redundancy, and it was a scary move. It was a really scary move. Because I had a mortgage, and so there was still that responsibility looming over me that I had to help my brother pay the mortgage. But you know, I kind of originally I didn't volunteer for redundancy, and I got told I was going to be safe and I wasn't going to be made redundant. But it was almost like once that had happened, I suddenly thought, like, why am I staying here? Like, I'm planning to leave and become an outdoor instructor anyway. So why am I hanging around when they're about to hand me enough money in my redundancy package that I could not work till the end of the summer? And that's when I was going to probably leave anyway. So thankfully I took the plunge, and it was quite a calm decision when I finally made it late on a Friday night, emailing the head of HR, who was very upset with me for not having volunteered earlier, because obviously it meant someone else was then going to be safe from redundancy. But you know, she accepted me volunteering nonetheless. So yeah, and life's changed. Life's changed a lot since then. It was quite a long time ago now. It was, I'd have to actually look it up, but 6-7 years ago that we went on the walk, or it's around 6-7 years ago, I kind of had my meltdown in my quarter life crisis, and I am an outdoor instructor now. So that's what I do as my full-time job. And has stress disappeared from my life? No. You know, my stress is different. So money's more of a stress nowadays because I'm not earning the same amount as I used to in the oil and gas industry. But I can say, hand on my heart, that I am a more contented, calmer, happier, healthier person in general. And And is this the end for me? No. Do I know what I want to be doing by the time I retire? No. Life's exciting. I want to try and chase loads of different opportunities. But it was a big decision, my quarter life crisis, and I completely changed my lifestyle. But it was the right one. And you know what? I'm going to have a quarter life one too. I'm going to freak out. I'm going to do something crazy. Because you know what? It was one of the most positive experiences I've had. So that's my quarter life crisis. So, you know, part of the video is to say if you're having one, maybe go with it. There's obviously some good reason you're having a quarter life crisis. And that's okay. And, you know, there's going to be a downside. So if I'd have stayed in engineering, now I'd be, you know, much more financially stable. Maybe I'd be able to go on loads of amazing holidays every year, all that sort of stuff. You know, so there'd be upsides to it. You know, there would inevitably be upsides staying where I was and staying put. Maybe I'd be enjoying the job more by then. I don't know. I don't think I would. But there'd be huge downsides as well. So, you know, sometimes going with it's okay, and no one else lives your life but you. So it's very easy for people to look in from the outside and from their perspective think how much difference money makes to their lives and all those sorts of things. But they don't know the reality of what you're going through going to that job every day. And I got to a point where I hated it and I really struggled. And it was because of other reasons as well. I was in a not very happy period of my life. But I am a happier person where I am. I'm who I'm meant to be, I believe. You know, I'm meant to be doing something more like this. And like I said, I might change again at some point. I don't know. I'm okay with it. So yeah, that's my opinion. That's why I think more people have quarter life crisis, because we're having our children later. But in a way, I think it's good. Maybe it's a good thing to get it out of the way before you have your children. So maybe you're in a better place and you're where you're meant to be before you have those children. But if you're not, you know, it's an admirable thing. And I know that if I had children and I felt like the money would benefit my family more, then I'd be much more likely to go back to engineering, because I wouldn't be doing it for me. And that's the important thing, I think, when you have these crises, is you suddenly realise that you're doing your job only for you, or doing the things in your life. Now you only need to worry about them benefiting you. And you realise that they're not what you want to do. So yeah, go out there, have a crisis, change your life, do something crazy. You know, if it doesn't make you happier, you can always go back. That was the view I've always had with engineering. If it's all going wrong and I feel like, God, I really need to get back there and earn that money, I can just go back. Yeah, it's going to mean I'm behind people who start at the same time as me. But you know what? I don't think I am going back. And I feel like a much healthier, happier person, because I luckily was forced by circumstance as well, maybe, but I freaked out and I walked the lengths of the UK. Like I said, one of the best things I've ever done. It made someone become one of my closest friends in the world who wasn't before. And I can't wait to do something like that again. I can't wait to do many things like that again. Life's so short and I just want to enjoy them. So I've been putting up some pictures during this video of the walk and all sorts of things like that, of the walking map. I hope you've enjoyed them. If you guys are thinking about doing something crazy, or if you want to plan a long distance route or something, feel free to message me and I'll do some videos about some tips and people whose books you could read to help you plan. And if you're interested, I'll do another video. So, you know, thanks again for watching, guys. It really does mean a lot. And if you like my crazy, random, eclectic mix of videos, not that crazy, martial arts, mountains, science, learning, those sorts of things, fitness and health. If you like the videos, like the video and subscribe to the channel. I'd really appreciate it. So look after yourself, guys, and enjoy those quarter life crisis.